Yesterday, as a way of recap, I think that's the only recap we might take so that we can forge ahead. Because the last time we had the session, I was using 8.4. That was the version I was using. I was doing that from the office, but now I was able to set up at home so that I won't be in a hurry. So I've imported our schedule, the test schedule we're using, so that we can all be on the same page. And that's what all the students have. So I'm opening up schedule so that we can work from there. Good. So this is a project, our activity, and how we develop the schedule. Okay. Right now, we want to, yesterday I was explaining to Rose under user-defined fields. I was now trying to show us under currency, someone saw Naira and asked the question, how do you create Naira in here? So creating all of this, it's actually an admin activity. So it's one of the activities that an admin executes. So you might not be an admin, but if you have a standalone like this, you are admin, you are everything all by yourself. So you can do that. So let's take a look. So I want us to use Naira. Maybe I will delete what we have and recreate it. So you click on admin under your menu keys. Click on admin. Click on currencies. Okay, currencies. You can scroll down so you see the different currencies that are displayed, that are valid. Okay, so now you want to add yours. So I added this yesterday. That's Kwanza. That's Angolan Kwanza. So here I'm going to delete this so we recreate it. Delete the Kwanza as well. Okay. So what do? You just go to add. See the add button. Click on add. Now, what is the currency ID? So for the Naira is NGN. NGN. So you type here NGN. Okay. What is the currency name? Nigerian Naira. Naira. And what is the sign? The sign you're using is what? So if you want to, so here, exchange rate. So what's our the exchange rate Naira to dollar? Official rate, let's say it's 450, right? 450. So if you have, maybe you have decimals, you can put decimal, put it to 2 places of decimal. So that's what you have here, right? Put it in decimals. So we don't have need for this part, this negative and positive. So you just say, okay. So let's see where it appears now. You go back to your user-defined field. Oh, sorry, your user preferences. Your user preferences, drop down, and you see your Naira here. This is your Nigerian Naira. So that's how you create currencies that are not in there, because Naira is not one of the defaults, like the internationally used currencies. So, but you can create yours. I hope that answers the question. I think it was Femi that asked that question. Polycarp said, please, can I have this software? That's Primavera P6. I thought that was deployed. So you speak with the organizers. I'm sure they will tell you what to do, because I know they made efforts to have it deployed to all participants. And for those that already start for this course, please, if there's a way to remind them, they should join the class so that they don't miss out. Well, let's continue. So Femi, thank you. And that's noted. So let's go to what we have for today. What we have for today. Today's class is very exciting, and we need to be patient and be attentive. That this is where we've started entering the advanced part. All what we were doing before, they were just preliminaries, introduction, like the preliminary bit of it. But now we're getting into a little into the advanced basics. So let's just be attentive. So today we'll be creating resources. Remember, part of the scope of this course is to teach us how to assign costs. And your cost rides on the vehicle of resources. What do I mean? Your resources is the element that carries cost in P6. If I want to assign cost to an activity, of course, even our BOQ, when we're developing the BOQ and estimating cost, our cost comes from cost of labor, cost of material, cost of equipment, and miscellaneous, right? Then before you can start talking about your markup and all of that. So your markups and all those ones don't come in here, but unless you're putting it in as a lump. But I'll show us. So we're not discussing, but we now need to see, how do we start this journey? How do we start this journey? How do I now have broken down all my activities, and I want to create resources? I want to create resources. Okay, so resources have two parts. You have the labor units, and you have the price and cost. Labor units, and you have the price and cost. So sometimes you could have a schedule that, like what I do, I don't deal with cost at all. I don't cost load my schedule. It's only resource loaded, and I use the budgeted units to do my reporting. Yeah, but you can, the standard way you're supposed to cost load it, but because in our own case, we use SAP to manage that, to manage costs and every other activity. But Primavera, we only use it to manage time. So depending on what your company, the procedures your company have in place, and what the software, what you want the software to do for you, that is what you will load on it. But it's also very important, if you must do your reporting from Primavera, you must load a resource. At least it might be a dummy resource, but you must have that schedule resource loaded before you can use it to make progress. So this percentage, this is percentage plan, and this is percentage actual. Because really, why do we develop schedules? It's just to monitor and control. It's for you to monitor your project and control your project, to control your budget, control resources, control time, and all of that, so that you have a control over what is going on. And it's the schedule will give you, like, it's like your GPS. It's like your GPS is your compass that shows you the way you should go, so that if you're deviating from the plan and there is a huge deviation from the path, maybe negative or even positive, you'll get to know and now have your trends, your lessons learned, trend analysis, and all of that. So the basic thing is resources. Now, resources have so many components. Like I said, we have 3 types of resource. In P6, you have the material resource, you have the labor and non-labor. You have material, you have labor, and non-labor. So now, for you to create resource, there is another attribute of resource that is called attribute. It is not a type. Just be careful to note my words, the words I'm using, and the names I'm reading out. I said types, the resource types, we have 3: labor resource, non-labor resource, and material resource. But we have attributes, that's characteristics or some add-ons. They are not very important, but they are nice to have. And that what example of that is role. Now, role is only assigned to labor resource. It doesn't have any business to do with non-labor and material. A material cannot have a role. What role is it on the organogram? It is not. So it cannot have a role. That's for material, right? Okay, so I was saying resource types. One, material. Labor. And 3 is what? Non-labor. Okay, so you have this. Then I said attributes, resource attributes. And I said is what? Nice to have, nice to have. It doesn't really play any major role in whatever on the outcomes of your resource analysis and all of that. It plays no major role really, unless you want to say, oh, I want to know the number of persons on this role and all of that. So what we have here, we call that role. Roles. Okay. So first of all, so you can do with or without these roles. You can do with or without the roles. So first, so I want us to create a role so that when we need to assign it, and this role is only assigned, it's only assigned to labor resource. Only assigned only to. Assigned only to labor resources. Labor resources. Okay, so you don't assign it, not applicable for, not applicable for material and non-labor resources. So I want us, I'm typing this because I want us to get it very clear. If you don't get these basics, you might not understand resource loading in P6. So that way you only be, you be half baked, so to speak. Okay, let me move on. I'm sure, I hope all of us have taken this down. I want to show us what it looks like. How do we create a role? Like I said, we want to start from creating a role. How do we create a role? After we've created a role, so first we'll create a role. So let me show us steps, the steps we'll take. One is create a role, which is optional. It's optional when you're developing your schedule. Create a role. It's just because of the sake of teaching. That's why I'm teaching us this. I don't use it. Create a role, and in brackets, optional. Yeah. The second step is create resource. Create resources, material, labor, all 3 types. All types. So just create the 3 types. Then the third one, assign resources to activities. Okay. Four is what? So assign quantities. So it's the same thing. Resources. When you're assigning the resources, you assign quantities. Assign resource quantities. Yep. Okay. Then we can now go to resource analysis. Then you see over allocation. Five. And determine labor units. Okay, I think those are the things we'll be looking at. Yeah. So if you're able to master all of this, you are good to go with resources. So let's get our hands dirty. We said we're creating, the first thing we're creating is what? We're creating a role, because we said it's only for labor. So how do I create a role? I want to create a role. I just go straight to enterprise. Click on enterprise. You see roles. So click on roles. It will take you to a window. You see on my shadow, I don't even have any. Okay, so display, this is showing display current project roles. It is empty because there are no roles for this project yet. No roles were created for this project yet. So, and I will now display or go to filter and display all rows. So you see existing rows that I have here. I have these existing rows here, right? So now I will now do what? I create one, add. I'm creating a role, and I don't want it to, just the same way we created EPS, WBS, that's the same thing that happens here. Now roles, instead of you saying, just like on our organogram, instead of using a laborer's name or a staff name, you use the role. You can say this is a planning engineer, this is a cost estimator, this is a project controls engineer. So you have a pool. So you can have a pool of maybe 5 project controls persons, right? So let's take project manager. Okay, so the persons that will be the roles we have on this project. The project is NEIQS construction project. Or waxing project. Yeah. It's a waxing building projects. Okay, so then I want to, so it's standing alone. Now I want to create the other roles, the roles that are underneath this. We have the project manager. So this is just a typical organogram, project organogram. But it's only showing the rows, the boxes. So you, first of all, as a project manager, you create your organogram, your project organogram, or that's organization charts. Organizational charts. Yeah, you create your project organogram and you start filling the boxes. Now, so here is you creating the organogram. That is creating the boxes. Say, no, I will need so number of men. I will need this, just the trades, so to speak. The trades are the ones you'll be creating here. Those are the roles. oh, what's your role at work? I've been employed and as a site cost estimator. I've been employed to work as a construction QS and what have you, right? So that's what it is in this place. So we have the project manager. So we're going to add one project, like I said, we don't. So for us now, let's just use project planning engineer. Project planning and controls engineer. Controls. So once you hear controls, planning, cost control, planning and control, but once you hear project controls, just know that project controls is actually cost and schedule. Once you hear planning engineer, like those of us that want to build a career in planning, any advert you see planning engineer is only planning. You're not talking about cost. You might not mind, but once you hear project controls, just know you have to be very good in cost and planning. When you hear cost control, it's only cost. But once you hear project controls, you just need to know the two very well, because the cost person, the planning person might work under you, and you need to know what they do. So that's so that it will inform your decision when you are applying for jobs. Okay, so we've created this. Like I said, we have only this is only assigned to labor resource, and we're creating few resources to get this done. So I'm going to end it at this, but just know that you can add more, keep adding, either you move or bring it down as the case may be. So that's what ends it. So here, resources, you can assign resources to role or the other way around. So, but we don't work with this way. So we've created our roles, voila. Later, I'll show us how to link it to resource. Now we're going to create our resource. I close this roles view, close. And the next thing is for us, like I noted on my notes, is what? Create resources. And we're creating all the types. And we said the types are what? Material, labor, and non-labor. Material, we know is material, cement, sand, and what have you. Then labor, they are human beings that can do the work. Why non-labor? They are equipment. Non-labor, they are all equipment. Your swan boogie, your crane, your, let's say your slings. Your slings, they fall under your non-labor. And other tools, as the case may be. So we're going to create resources. So for you to create resource, I think I mentioned it during our last class that whenever you're creating anything, go to that window. Like we wanted to create rows, we went to the rows window. Now rows, you ask me, why is it not here? Because it's not one of the defaults, right? I think we have it here. Yes, we have it here as well as shortcuts. So you can see we have it here as shortcuts. Okay, but if you don't know where it is, you can just come here and pick it. Even resources and all of that. So you can come to your enterprise and you see all those windows. But here they are. So I'm going to pick, like I said, I like using the shortcuts. So I want us to create resource, and I'm going to mouse over this, and you see resources. So the difference between resource and resource assignment is that the resource icon, the avatar, is just a normal human being without a cross, just a head or a passport, so to speak. While the resource assignment, that is this, has a line on the head of the person, on the head of the avatar, right? So that's how to know the difference. Else, you just go to your, even if nothing is on the on display, right? On your shortcuts tab, if nothing is there, don't fret. Just go to your enterprise, pull this down, and you see everything in here. Yeah? So it's easy for you to pick, or what do I want to create? What do I want to? So these ones, now, I don't know if I've said something about, but I might repeat it again. And that is the difference. Because you might ask me, someone that is smart enough will ask me, but why is it that I'm not seeing activity here? You know, you brought this down and I didn't see activity. I didn't see WBS, right? I didn't see activity. I didn't see WBS. I saw it, but I'm seeing this one now under enterprise. So if you go to this one now, you're seeing activities, resource assignment, WBS, and so this shows you all these ones. They are enterprise data. Enterprise data means anything you create here can be used for any project at all. Like this row we have created, bring 1 million projects into this database, you can assign those rows and use it all over. But anything here, projects, no, it is only specific to one project. They don't share. They don't share. It's either you copy it, and as far as you're copying, you are recreating it already. So anything here, they don't share. They are just project specific. That's just what I need us to understand. Any field you have here that you create, open resource you create, you can assign it to every other. But here, projects, you can't. It's only project specific. You cannot assign it to another project. Maybe from this activity, you now assign this activity to another project. It's not possible. Or WBS, you want to assign this WBS to another project. It's not possible. So they are project specific data. So let's go back to what we're doing, and that is resource. So I click on my resource. And we created one that day, right? We created one. That's this the recal label. So I said we'll create 2 more. We're going to create 2 more. So how do you create resource? I hope we don't have questions. Is this non-labor the same thing as plant equipment? Yes. I can record that we have material, plant, and labor as major types of construction resources. Please explain the non-labor resources. Your plant and equipment is non-labor, right? QS Okong. All right. So I think I don't have any other question. I can move on. Okay. So what we have under your resource type, you see, this is label, and I'm adding the next resource. Look at this information that popped up. In order to add a resource, the filter will be changed to display all resources. So for you to add, you see this filter here, this display, this layout here, right? See your filter sign. It must show all resources. But what do we have here? We have current project resources. So we're not talking about current projects because it recognizes the fact that any resource comes into the pool. It is owned by the company. So it's not localized to any department. It's owned by the company. So that's how it has been. And it is what it is an enterprise data. It is an enterprise data, like I explained. So I click OK, and it changes this for me. Remember yesterday we talked about this wizard? If you remember, when we were looking at user-defined fields, when we're looking at our user preferences, and we showed where you can uncheck. You can say, do not show this wizard again, and it will not pop up anymore. So if I check this wizard will no longer come up. So, but I don't have problem with it because I like using it to demonstrate some things to my students. So I want to make sure that the activity I'm creating, the material I'm creating, aligns with that it aligns with the Terraca resource that I create. So I'm looking for my resource. I can't find it. Now, how do I look for it? So I need to, so either I say project specific because I've created it before now. Okay, current project, and I say Terraca. Now I can use my resource ID to search. So let me show you how to search so that if you're looking for a particular resource, because the pool is so many, you have a lot of activities in there. So you wouldn't want to keep searching for scrolling back and forth. No. So I come to this part and I click on mine, find, Control F. Okay. Control F brings out find for you. And I type in any IQS. Remember, whichever column you're using to search, that's the one you choose. That's where you put your icon on. And I say find. You see it has popped up the resource for me. So I'm fine with it and I love where it is. So I want to add, because I want all the resources that I need for this project to come under this, right? So I can decide to call this all, because I want it to have a header just like this, right? Just like this. I want every other thing to come under it, irrespective of the type of resource that it is. Now the next one, so I'm going to now want to create the real Terracal resource. So I click this, finish. So it's reporting this R6 resource, is default, is reporting to any IQS. It's reporting to any IQS. And I said we're calling this, I can call it any IQS one, any IQS -1. Your IDs must be unique. Your resource IDs must be unique, just like your activity ID. They must be unique. You can't have 2 IDs repeated, else it will not take it. Instead, it will generate its own system generated ID for you. That's the resource ID. It will generate a unique system ID for you. So here we call it Terracal. Then, and it's a labor resource. Now the next one, we said is going to be a material resource. The resource type of this one is labor. The material resource. And it's not reporting to them because they are not all labor. Okay. I call this any IQS2. QS 2. So here, I want to call this cement. Can you permit me to edit this? I want to make this a crew, right? I want this to make, I can say crew of fitters, iron fitters, right? Crew of iron benders or fitters, iron benders or masons. Yeah. So but let me leave it out so that it's something that we can relate to. Let it not be abstract. So crew of iron benders, bags of cement. So cement, and we know it's in bags, right? And so this is what material. So on that type, change to material. Say changing this resource type to material, remove all rows assigned. You say what? Yes, I agree. This one, your unit of measure for this, because it's human being, you don't have unit of measure for it. Okay. While this, remember I said it's only humans that we assign roles to, and the role we created goods. This was our role, project planning and controls engineer. So here you assign it. Okay. You assign the role. So that role that you've created, so that's why I said it's only a paraphernalia of office. It's not the real thing that does the work. So as we progress, you understand why I made that statement. So after you've done that, here you have material, right? Then you can add your quantity. Your unit of measure for material is what? You can say numbers, okay? Numbers. Or you can say tons. So, but if we're talking in bags, so you can say numbers or each. So I can say each, right? Let's take that. Okay, then so this is one each. Then the next one is your non-label. So we have a material label, we have we have a labor type, and so we have a material resource, a labor resource, and we're creating now, we're creating a non-label. So we're changing this, and it will, the pop-up will come up again. We've changed it to non-label. So what's our non-label? We can say concrete mixer. Concrete mixer. Right? So we are fine. So project NIQS has 1, 2, 3 resources created in the pool. Now we are creating this. I'm recreating this because I am demonstrating with it. Else, if I have resources, these same resources in this pool, I will not recreate. I will only use them and assign, because you can assign them to so many projects. But caution, please. The caution is that when, so note of caution, while trying to delete resources from a project, please don't delete from the pool. Do not delete the resource from the resource. Do not delete it from the resource pool. So where is the resource pool? This is where we are. This is your resource pool. This is your resource pool. So if you delete, like you come here and delete this, if I've used this for 10, 20 projects, you've deleted all the resources from those 20 projects. That's what it means. I had a beta, so I don't forget it. Each class I teach, I tell my students, because I had a beta experience when I first joined Turnarounds. And it was on my first project. We had like a few days, we had 2 weeks to turn around. We've resource loaded our schedule, we've done our histograms and all our readiness for execution. And one of my new colleagues that was still trying to learn, he wanted to reuse a project. He wanted to reuse an existing project. He wanted to copy train 3 and modify it for train 4. So the first thing he's supposed to do is supposed to remove existing resources, relationship if he likes, and all of that. So he now, just to make it easier and fast for him, he came here and yanked off and deleted the resources, all the resources. He just filtered, current project resource, and deleted all of them, not knowing that all the projects in the database that have ever used those resources, they were all deleted and they were all messed up. So what it has now messed up the integrity of those projects. For you to use them as historical data, they no longer make sense. So please, let's desist from that. Unless you're very sure that you've not used it for any other project, then you can delete. It's not wise to delete from here. Yeah? Okay. So because even before you delete, it will tell you that this project, this resource has been assigned to other projects. Should you go ahead? That once you delete, you're going to lose that data. So it will prompt, that warning is always there. So read all those pops up before you take the next step. So that's why I had to type it, so that you please note it. Else, you might be putting yourself or your company, it might warrant you a sack or a query if you make such an error. Okay, so we've created. Now, there are some things that we need to look at, because we'll be making use of it. You see this resource, you see default units per time. If you come down to this place, you see maximum units per time, right? Maximum units per time. This ones we don't have business with the title, office, email. It's not your headache, right? So here you have details, the details of your resource. Details of your resource. Those details are very important. One of the details is the type, and we said it's label. The next one is the unit of measure, and we said it's each, right? Okay. Oh, sorry, this is it. Sorry. No, I'm at the right place now. So this one doesn't have the unit of measure. That's label. Then the next one is what? Default units per time. Default units per time. Okay? Default units per time. And this is the same thing as this. So let's say in a crew of iron benders. So it depends. You can have 2 iron benders and 1 labor. So the laborer, or you can have 2 fitters, maybe 2 other persons supporting them. Let's say 4 persons in a crew. So that 4 persons will give you 400%. And so you might have let's say you have two crews. So your 2 crews now is what? 800. You have 2 crews. That's 800. You see, this has changed automatically. So whatever we fixed here, that's what it is here. Those are the details, right? Then you go back to units and prices. Maximum units per time. What does this mean? Your maximum units per time is how many persons do you have available per time? How many persons? If it's a pool of drivers, your company has 20 drivers available? 20 as in 20, whether they are working or they are not working. How many planners are in that company? Are they 4 planners? Are they 10 planners? That is what this means. And 1 is 100%. Once you see 100%, it signifies 1 person. So for this crew, like we said they are iron benders, and we're having 8 persons because it's 4 per crew. Okay. So we're discussing our resources, cement, concrete, and I was telling us how to increase the numbers. When we come to cost assignments, we'll talk about this. So, but for now, let's move. Now we've created our resources, right? I said create resources and all the types, we've done that. Assign resources to activities. Assign resources to activity. Assign resource and quantities. So we go back to P6. Now, when you want to assign resource, use this row creation, use rows window, resource creation, use resource resource assignments. Use. Okay. So just learn how to move from window to different windows. So it's not, so that's one difference between P6 and Microsoft Project. Microsoft Project also you navigate, but it's not as much as you do in P6. So P6, you just, the first thing is for you to learn how to move from the window. I want to do this. This is where I go to. I want to do this. So that's it. Okay, so just take note of this and go back. So that's why I changed. So what we did last, we've done it here, creating, and this is your resource window. Now we'll go back to activities because you are assigning these resources to activities. You're assigning the resources to activities. So here, you click on resources. Resources. That's what you want to do it. But okay. If you see, I clicked on this first one, contract award. Can anybody tell me why these resource icons are graded out? If you can tell me, just drop it in your question and answer box. Yeah? Tell me why it's graded out. You have contract award, because if I click on activity 200, activity ID number 200, I see that this I can assign, but this first one I cannot. Is it that we are correct or we are wrong or whatever? If you know the answer, please drop it in the question and answer. Well, okay, Femi says it's not, the first one has no predecessor activity. You are correct, but that's not the reason why it's graded out. You are correct. It's one of the signs. It doesn't have a predecessor activity. You're correct. The next one is a start activity. You're correct as well, but that is not. It is a milestone. Ayorinde, thank you. Abiola, thank you. It is a milestone, and milestones have no resources. That is it. Yeah? It is a milestone. Ali, thanks for the try, but it's a milestone, and milestones don't have resources. So that's why it's graded out. So anyway, you see it, even if it's the first, last, whatever activity number, it doesn't matter. So long as the activity type shows milestone, whether it's start milestone, finish milestone, whatever it is, it doesn't accept resources because it's not an activity in itself. So it was a little recap we did, and that's good. Thank you for giving us those answers. So let's go back. So we start from the second activity. So any activity that is a milestone, you can assign resource to it. So don't bother yourself about it. So my first activity is system definition. System definition. Now, system definition, this is where your intellect, your knowledge, your construction knowledge, the knowledge of the process that you're working on, this is where it comes into play. Because you might understand, so that's why I tell most people that planning is not understanding, is not P6, so to speak. P6 is a tool like any other tool. P6 might not be the tool of tomorrow, right? It might not be the tool for the future. Right now, it's the tool, the in thing for planning, but it's the leading tool. Although we have other tools, but it's the leading tool and the most popular tool available in the market. However, it might not be the tool that will be used tomorrow. AI is coming up, and we don't know what trend that will bring up, right? But right now, this is what it is, and so this tool that you're using, but the planning will not change. The rudiments of what you know have not changed for some time. Because you can't say will not, you never can tell. But for now, it has not changed. Those principles of planning, those first principles. We're looking at system definition. What does it mean? System definition. This is like an IT project. Okay, an IT project. You're giving scope. So you're being given a scope, right? You're giving a scope, and you need to now know, okay, what is it like? System definition. I'm trying to define my scope, define what I need, the requirements of this project. And who does that? It's not a machine that can do that. You don't need a material for system definition, but you need human beings, right? You need human beings. So anywhere we need labor, we'll just assign the labor that we have. But in this case, ordinarily, it's supposed to be project manager. That's if you're doing the real life project, what you should assign to this is project manager. Project manager and the other IT specialist for this particular project. But in this case, so we are going to assign a labor resource. What it needs is what? A labor resource. The next activity is what? Detailed design. Detailed design requires what? A labor resource as well. Design compliance, that's the auditor that will check, review, is also what? A labor resource. Procurement. So you might be procuring, so in procurement, who does the procurement? So in procurement also, you might need non-labor, because when they are freighting those equipment materials that have been bought, right, you might need non-labor vehicles. So you need labor and non-labor in that case. Okay, labor and non-labor. So let's start. I've identified something. So that's how we look at those activities by their merits and now assign the required resource that's meant for it. So this is where experience comes in, because you need a square peg in a square hole and not a round peg in a square hole. So I'm going to assign my resource. I said this need requires what? A labor resource. And which is our labor resource that we've created? It's what? The crew of iron benders. That's the labor resource we have. The next one is what? Detailed design. It's labor resource. The next one is what? Design and compliance. It's labor resource. The next is procurement. We have labor and non-labor. We have labor and non-labor. Then under construction, we need all of them. You need material, you need human beings. So construction gets all. Okay. Then commissioning and handover. In your commissioning and handover, you might need your non-labor and labor, depending on what you're doing. So I have my labor, I have my non-labor. I don't need materials again in my commissioning. Then, sorry, I hope I'm, oh, geez. Apologies. I've assigned them twice. Okay. So here I have labor and non-labor. Then this is a milestone. It's a milestone, so I can't assign anything. So I've resource loaded my schedule. I've assigned resource, but now I need to add quantities. Remember the list I wrote out here, the steps. I said, assign resources to activities, assign resource quantities. You assign resources and you also do what? Assign resource quantities. So we have assigned the resources already by carefully looking at those activities one after the other and assigning the resources. Oh, this one needs it, this one needs it, but to what quantity? To what number? What number does it require for them to be able to finish that job at the stipulated time? So we'll come here, we'll say, here we'll say, we'll come back to the first activity. And it has what? Labor resource. Now, in your assignments of your quantities, there are some key, please note this, there are some key fields that you require. Key fields that you must require. You can even prepare that and save it as a layout, as a resource assignment layout, and keep it. So then anytime you want to resource load, because maybe today you use it and remember the next day. I remember today I was preparing a schedule in Excel, I was trying to get my WBS in Excel. There's a formula I normally use, but because I haven't used it for some time, I was just opposing the positions of the formula before I was able to look at one of my documents and got it back. So, and that's how this is. If you're not using it always, you tend to forget. So, but what you do to help yourself is to save layouts. So when you have layouts, to help you to call to remembrance some of those things you forgot. Now, what are the columns that are necessary? They are necessary. Please take this down. Let's take this down. Prepared for resource assignment. Resource quantity assignment, resource quantity. Primavera P6. One. So this will be better. It's better. Yeah. So first, the first column you need is your first column is your resource ID. Resource ID. Resource ID. The second column is your resource type, so that you know if it's a material or what. Resource type. The third column is your original duration. Original duration. Your fourth column is budgeted unit per time. Budgeted unit per time. The fifth column is budgeted units, budgeted man hours. As ordinary budgeted units. Budgeted units. The next is actual units. 6 actual units. So your budgeted, anywhere you see budgeted, no is plan, while your actual is your actual. Anywhere you see budgeted, so this is your plan. So your actual comes when you see impute your actual. Then you have 7. Your 7 is remaining units. Remaining units. 8 is price per unit. Price per unit. 9 is budgeted cost. Budgeted cost. Voila. Okay. So also your number 10, please. That was very important. Number 10. Your maximum unit per time. Maximum unit per time. Because you need to know what you have before you can decide what to spend. So your maximum unit per time is what you have, the money you have in hand, and now decide, out of this money, I'm going to use 5 naira to buy makeup or buy wig or what have you, or go on vacation. So maximum units per time. Okay, so those are your 10 fields. Those are your 10 fields as you require. So let's go through it again. Resource ID, resource type. So your resource ID is just to be unique, to show the uniqueness of that design for you. You know the resource you created, and you know label is NIQS1, material is NIQS2, while the non-label is NIQS3. So that's your ID. Okay. The second one is what? Your resource type. Third is the second is resource type, whether it's label, material, or non-label. Then the third one is original duration. That's the duration of the activity you are trying to assign resource to, because it has impact on your eventual budgeted labor units. The budgeted labor units. The budgeted labor units, I'll show us the calculation, how the system calculates that. Then your budgeted units is there, then actual units. Okay, so your budgeted units per time, budgeted units per time is how many persons are you using per time? How many persons are you using for that project per time? That is your budgeted units per time. So that's where you say is 1 person, or I say 100%, 200%, 300% out of the 800% that I have, right? Or I have 800%, but I need 1000%. So that's what you have there. Then you have budgeted units, then actual units, budgeted units. It will now calculate this budgeted units per time times your original duration. That's what gives you your budgeted units. The budgeted units per time times original duration gives you budgeted units. So whenever you want to know the number of persons, you say budgeted units divide by duration will give you the budgeted units per time, right? So that is. If you have any question, let me know. Okay, so I can go ahead. Someone said standalone. I don't understand. But I guess the person is talking about Anosike. I guess you're talking about the Primavera version to be installed. You can get the standalone. Well, I know you can also go to Primavera website and download. It's free. Just register and you can download to your system straight up. Yeah. So that's what I use for my firm. That's what I use for students. So that's directly from Oracle. And you can get up to 2019 or 2021 version or 2020 version, as the case may be. You might not get the latest for this year, but you might get like from the last 3 versions backwards. You can get that. You're good to go, and it's free. Okay, so let's continue with what we're doing in the absence of any question. So I explained that. So your maximum, okay, your actual units, of course, actuals, when we start actualizing, will show us how we use this. Your actual units, that's the actual number of persons, irrespective of what I planned, the actual number of persons that I use. The remaining units, so maybe it's, but these two, they are used, these 6 and 7, you use it when you have started progressing the schedule. So this one is just to show you, oh, how many number do I still have? That's what this shows you. Do I have enough units to help me complete the project based on the percentage, based on the status? Do I say, but you start using that when you're statusing the project. Price per unit, that's for cost. Budgeted cost is for cost. So we'll treat that when we're treating cost. That's the, but you need to keep all of them because it's required on your resources. Okay, so I can go back to P6 now, but just take note of these 10 columns. Now I've highlighted this. Remember, I said your budgeted units per time, right? And your default unit per time. But what you need your original duration. So let's bring those ones out. I have my original duration and we're going to arrange it. So click here for you to bring out these columns. This is where you click customize resource columns. Watch me again. Maybe some of you that might have missed out. Click here, this outside, and right click. Voila, it comes out here. And I want to now arrange my fields the way I have talked about it. The way I've talked about it. I'm trying to see if I can split my screen, but no. I wanted to split this screen. Screen is small. But I can display both at the same time. Okay, I think we need a mirror. So we say the first one is what? Resource ID. This is resource ID. The next one is resource type. I don't have resource type here, right? I go back to general. I get my resource type. Resource name, resource type. Okay. The next one is what? The next one is resource duration, original duration, sorry. I have that. The next is budgeted units. Budgeted units per time. Okay, I have that. The next one is budgeted units. Budgeted units. Okay. Next, actual units. Do I have actual units here? No. So I go straight to units and I look for actual units. Remember, I've told you also how to search. If you don't know where exactly they are, you just come in here, type whatever it is, and you can find where it is. It's just I know where it is, so I just go straight. I don't want to waste time trying to search. I've taught us how to search. Okay, so actual units is here. The next, remaining units. These are my remaining units. Next, price per unit. Price per unit. A price per unit is under general. Oh, I have it here. Good. The next is a budgeted cost. Budgeted cost is under general. So I can't find it, so I have to search. Okay. Okay, it's under cost. Budgeted correct. Yeah. The next is what? The last but not the least is maximum unit per time. It's under. Yes, it's here. So I don't have a default unit. I don't have an original lag. Lag doesn't do any good for me. Take it out. This doesn't do any good for me. I take it out. So this is what I have, and I'm good. Okay. So I want to save this as a layout so that anytime I want to resource load, I have this. I'll just call up this layout and use it. I don't need to always keep creating resources every time. So I have my resources field here or as well. So what do I do? View. Save layout as. Remember we did the layout yesterday. Resource assignment templates. Resource assignment templates. Okay, and I say, okay, current user, save. So I've saved this layout. So anytime I can go and call it up for any project. Okay, so that is done. So I've done the step of bringing out all the columns. Now we want to start the main cruise of the matter. So we want to assign this first activity. Let's say it's 2 persons. And we say, for the person that asked a question, you said something about not having percentage, right? So let me show you where you can change it to percentage or numbers. I, for one, I don't like percentages. I like numbers, really. Okay. So let's go to user preferences, right? See resource, time units. Did you see these 2 here? Show as a percentage. Show as units per duration. Did you see your percentage has changed? Yeah. Did you notice the change? So if I go back to user preferences and I change it back to percentage, voila, it changes back. So that's just it. So you're not doing anything wrong. It's just a setting, so you can set your own back. I hope that clarifies. Justice Okechukwu, I do not understand the use of 800% for all the budgeted units. I mentioned that 1 person is 100%. Anyway, you see 100%, no, is 1 person. So your 800 is, we didn't use it as budgeted units. We used it as numbers. I've not explained all those budgeted units that you see in there, because it's just taking everything as default. We want to assign. We have not assigned yet. Okay. Remember, from the resource, this resource window, we said that this crew, they have 800%. And that is the maximum units per time, 800%. That means you can't exceed 800. You can't exceed 8 persons, because that is the maximum that the company has. You can do 100, you can do 200, you can do 0 point, but you can't do more than, you can't do 810. If you do that, you have over allocation, right? Okay. Even when you don't even do that, and maybe in a day, the cumulative resource allocation that you have spans to 1.5. You have over allocation. Okay, so let's see how that spans out. Let's not talk about over allocation. When we start resource analysis, you see what over allocation means. But now, so see where your 800 is coming from. But just know that when we are doing your assignment, it has not been assigned. So it's the assignment we want to do now. So I hope that is clear. Just follow as we go ahead. You'll get clearer by the time we're done. Okay. But just know that your 800 came from 4 persons per crew. And 4 persons is 400. 1 person was 100. 4 is 400. And we say we have 2 crews. Those were our assumptions. We have 2 crews, and 2 crew will give you 800. That for 1 crew, we have 2 fitters and 2 laborers. Yeah, for each crew, we have 2 fitters and 2 laborers. And that's what gave us the 800. Okay, I hope that is clear. So we'll go back to our resource assignment. So your labor, you have 400 hours. That is your original duration for that job. 400 hours. Let me try to change my duration to days, okay? I'll change my duration to days, user preferences. I want to change my time, duration, day, yeah? Good, so it's 40 days. 40 days. And for the 40 days, I want 5 persons to work there. 5 persons and not 8 persons. 5 persons. So I've put 500. is 500%. So you see, remember I said this times this, original duration times budgeted units will give you what? Your budgeted units. Your budgeted units per time. So this is where you put your quantity. The quantity that you assign to do that job, that particular activity, this is where you put it. Your budgeted units per time. So this times this one you don't touch it. This one just sits pretty. This and this that will give you this, but you only use this as a pointer to check, is it correct? So this 500 times 40, is it actually 2,000? Right? And you see your actual units, because you've not started progressing, is 0. Your remaining units is 2,000 because nothing has touched it. Excuse me. It's still 2,000. And your prices, your maximum still remains like this. So if you take out 500 in a day out of 800, so you still have 300, so you will not have overallocation. That's my small brain telling me that. But we'll see whether it's true when we start doing the analysis. So the next one, the next activity, I can decide, oh, my labor part-time. No, this is not supposed to be, sorry. This was just an overall, so this was not counted as one of our resources. Our resources started from here. So I'll remove that first one. Maybe we assigned it before now. Good. So here, I want to use, they are doing the review for 40 days. You can't have 5 persons doing review, detailed design. Okay, for detailed design, okay, we can have an architect, we have an architect, we have a civil structural engineer, right? In the crew, we have an electrical and we have the mechanical. So we can say we use 4 persons. 4 persons for the design, that's 400. Okay. Compliance. Compliance might be coming from the client side. Maybe we'll have 2 persons. Okay. We have 2 persons. Now, these 2 persons, are they going to spend the whole day? Now, that's where you put on your thinking cap. Are they going to spend the whole day? No, there is no way they'll be spending their whole day. So that man that you're saying 100%, he's not giving 100%, even if they are 2. They'll be giving, like, say, 50% of their time. So it will be 100%. So one person will give 50%, one person will give 50%. That is 100%. Okay? That's what we have here. Because they're not spending the full duration of their time daily on this. Then the next, excuse me, let me drink. I hope I'm making sense. Okay, Hassan, good, you understood. Thanks. Okay. So the next activity is procurement, and I said you have a non-labor resource and you have a labor resource. So procurement personnel, you can say it's 2 persons for procurement. That dedicated, they are the ones monitoring, but one is monitoring local procurement, the other one is monitoring foreign procurement. So we have these 2. Why you have maybe a flatbed that is helping to convey those things from the wharf to your warehouse. So that one is 1, and that's 100%. Okay. Okay, so that's it. Then construction, almighty construction. Now, your material. Okay, your material. What is the quantity that you're going to have? The quantity of your material. I say you have 100 bags of cement. Okay, then you have your concrete mixer. You need 2, which is 200. Mind you, you have only 1. Then your iron benders, filters, maybe you need 2,000. So you might need, by this time, you might need 5 crews. 5 crew, we'll say 4 for 80 or 800. That's 2,000. That's 5 crew. So 2,000. Remember, your maximum is 800, right? So we're good. And that is it. Then the next activity is what? Commissioning. Non-labor, don't need much of you. So you will have 100, then your labor, people doing the commissioning, let's say we'll have 5 persons. Some from client side, some from the contractor side. Voila, we are fine. And this is our resource loading. It is done. It is what? Done. We've resource loaded properly. Now we want to go to resource analysis. So from my notes, what did I say we have to do? So resource analysis. We want to check over allocation. We want to check the budgeted labor units. Okay? We want to check over allocation. We want to check your budgeted labor units. And how do we do that? So I'll go to here. Resource usage profile. Resource usage profile. So my project started when just give me a minute so I can take myself back in time. Good. So this is is showing itself. So if you check the activities we assigned, the resources we assigned, iron bender. So this is the graph of iron bender on so day. So let me change my dates because I want to be able to analyze this properly. Please listen and attentively to this part. This part is only a few planners that knows how to do this, both that resource loading and what we are doing now. Do this. I want day. I want to see the weekday. Yeah, it's fine for me. Yeah. Okay. So let me get this off so that you can see clearly. So if you see this resource that I clicked on, you're seeing that on these dates, it's fine. This is the band. This is your limit. Your limit, this is your limit for the company. Okay? So on this date, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, blah, 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 to this point, it's fine. But you see from Wednesday here, from Wednesday, you have slight overallocation. You're seeing overallocation to this point. You're seeing overallocation to this point. And if I go down, decide to go down. So you see, there is a dip here. On this date, that means here, you are not even using the resource, the iron benders, you're not fully utilizing them. Maybe there are the days you are using them for 2 or whatever, all these areas. Then on this other day, oh my God, the overallocation here is crazy. And this is exactly the duration where we had to use, I guess, where we needed 2,000 and we have 800. So in this case, you are going to, for you to take out this over allocation, right? For it, no, because anybody that looks your resource profile will cry a river. You will cry me a river. What's going on here? Okay. So what you need to do, there are two things. You either level or you increase your limits. You either level or increase your limit. So now you want to check how many. You see, it's up to 2,000. That's the level it is on this, on your y-axis. It's up to 2,000. So here it's showing 200 because I left it in hours. Yeah. So you want to change it back. You want to change it back and look at this, man. So you tell yourself, this is over allocated. This is over allocated. That's why it's showing this red. The band, it has gotten to the limit and exceeded its limit. Now, if you can decide to say, oh, I want to level. I want to level this activity to fill in all these gaps. Let's see the gaps like here, this place. I will level some of this, cut some of this and put it here, right? I'll cut some of this and put on top of these small ones. But will it be enough? No. Merely looking at it, you find out that you still have extras. So the best thing is for you to go to the market and purchase workers, or you level it and allow the duration. What it means is, what I'm explaining now is you level these activities or the resources. Ouch. Okay, you level it such that all these rows, you cut it and start putting it here. It will keep going further than more than the end date of the project, maybe somewhere to this point. So to get to this one, so that is, you want to maintain the number you had. I want to maintain my number, so I need more days. So if you need more days and duration is not of essence to the project, then you level it and it will increase the end date of the project. But if duration is of essence, what do? You need to go and procure more personnel. You need to go to the market and get more personnel. It's just that simple. But this is your analysis that shows you how you're faring. Now let's look at another resource. So for this, I don't do it for most resources. I do it for this analysis, I do it for only critical resource. Critical resource, like I mentioned the other day, I was talking about experts. Maybe you have some experts in some fields that these experts, they are not really readily available in the market. So what do? You either change their shift, maybe they're working only day, you get another one to work on at night, or it will definitely impact the duration. So what you do is to go back to your project charter, your project sponsor, and ask your project sponsor to increase the duration. That this is a constraint you have, is a risk, is a schedule risk, and you want more duration. Meanwhile, you would have used this schedule to quantify, to tell the person, oh, this is the number of duration, number of days I have, and mathematically shown and proven. It's not by words of mouth, but you need to show that. So a case study, so I have so many cases. So a case study that is what mentioning was when I joined my team, my current team, that was in 2016. They had a challenge in the team because they had a lot of work. Then the team now will split the work and have other teams that are doing part of the work. So then we were doing all the trains and all the offsite, all the common facilities, the liquid handling unit, the tanks, different condensate tanks, were the ones doing it, the drinking water system, the sewage system, all the maintenance, we're doing it. So you work on the trains, you work on all those other standby facilities. And they had very few workers. They had only one planner then, So by the time I joined, I think we were like 3 when I joined them. But for like 4 years, they had one planning engineer. Mechanical, they had just 2 mechanical supervisors. So these guys were burning out. They were burning out. And because of the number of scope, the jobs that they were available, they were, in short, the planner did not go for his wedding for like 4 years. He didn't have time to go to prepare for his wedding. It's not like he doesn't have the money, but he couldn't go because they were always back-to-back turnarounds. And they were delivering. So they keep telling management with the word of mouth that, hey, we need more persons. But because you're delivering, management will not want to give you more persons. And of course, the guys too that were working, because they were having overtime, they were happy, even if their health is paying for it. So when I joined the team, one of my bosses now gave me that task. I should develop a schedule. I think I did that job with Microsoft projects. And he gave me all the scope available and all the people, and I started assigning them. And I told him, okay, give me on a spreadsheet how you want them assigned, who is doing what, who is involved in whatever project. And I did. All the projects that we have outlined for the next 5 years, because we do 5-year outlook plan, I assigned all of it, and the overallocation was mad. For operations support, those supporting operations in doing isolations, they were 700% overallocated. That means one person is doing 7 persons' job, right? 700% overallocated. Then for the planning team, we're 400% overallocated. Some were 1000% overallocated. It was a crazy thing. So I made that explanation to him, team by team. For operations, they had only 3 persons. They ended up employing more 10 persons. The planning team, we added 1 more person, making it 4 because we were 400% overallocated. We added 4 persons. So now I can relax, not killing myself with work. Then for mechanical, they brought in like 10. They brought in 2 shutdown engineers. So there was massive employment because of just that job, because my boss was able to use those graphs to go make presentation to say, this is our level of allocation. These are the jobs. This is the number, because the number of duration you work per day doesn't increase as a human being. And the Nigerian law is there that you can't work more than 10 hours, right? You can't work more than 10 hours a day. And if you work up to 14 hours, it shouldn't be more than 2 or so within, I'm not very specific on that now, within a week, something like that. So that's why most times, even on your overtime sheet, you don't book all those hours there for audit purposes. You don't book all those, else you'll be going against the labor law. So those are the things you reflect on your schedule as you're planning. So you won't say one person will do 20 hours. The person is not a robot. It's not a machine. He will do 10 hours. So by the time he made that a lot of persons were employed, and it helped the team. So there was no burnout, constant going to the hospital again. It reduced drastically. And a lot of persons, at least opportunities, there were openings for people to join the team. So that's the essence of this. And so it makes you happy when you see that your job is actually adding value, right? It's adding value. And that singular thing made them to like, oh, it's like this woman knows what she's doing. Because I must tell you, it's not easy working amongst men. It's tough. Especially when you're a QS, you did not have the tag engineer and you're doing better than them. They will not really like you for that. But we are friends now. Okay, so that's this. So I'm trying to tell you what this analysis, as simple as you're seeing it, what it can do. Specific decisions that can be taken. Like in this case now, it's very clear. They're going to employ more persons. Very, very clear. You can't do without this. Either employ more persons or increase the duration of the job. So like this activity that we have, the construction activity, right? This is a construction activity that is 80 days. You might increase it to 120 or whatever. Yeah? So that's it. You might have to increase it. So that's it. Or here, you do what? You increase the limit. So let's see if I increase this limit. How do I increase the limit? I go back to resources. Okay. I increase the limit to 2,000. Okay. My maximum units, 2,000. Right? So I come back to my activities. Did you see it? Your red has disappeared. And there is no more overlocation. Everything is sitting pretty. So once your boss sees something like this, he's very happy. Oh, this schedule is fantastic. It's properly resourced and we'll be using this to invite. So like on this day, the way the graph is now, on this day, you need like maybe 8 persons. On this day, you might need like 6 or 5 persons here. Here, you need only 1. Here, you need, I think 20, yeah, 20 persons here. Okay, so this is how you will be mobilizing them on that day. So this will go and rest, go home. We don't need you. Yeah, we don't need you for these days. Don't come. You just use this to prepare timetable for them to come to work, and the days they will not come. Finish. It's as simple as that. When they have worked this day, you say, okay, well, I will not need you on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the next 10 days, I don't need you. Go rest. Come back on day 11. 11 days from now. So it will help you now to monitor. So you that is doing cost control, this is what you'll be looking at to monitor your cost control. And so yank off this, because these people staying on site, or the 20 of them coming day 1 when you don't need them. So you can only have 20 until on the 14th, no, 15, 16, 14, 15, 16. On the 18th, that is when you need the 20 of them. On the 18th. So you don't need them before that. You don't need 20 persons, right? You don't need 20. The first day you can have 8, then these are 6, so you can manage to keep the 8. But here, tell them to go and rest, and you use only 1 person here. Then the next day, the 20 persons comes, and voila. Yeah? So you don't pack all of them and be paying overhead and paying for idle time. So that's it. Even if they are on location, on these dates, you can ship them out. Okay, go for your off. Then you bring in other trades that you feel that doing on all other jobs. Then the day you need them, you bring them in now. I hope that is clear to someone. Sorry for that label. When you put 50% as the output per day, if I'm right, but like in setting dates and calendar, we set each day as 9.5 per day. I don't know if I am the one that got it wrong. I'm a bit confused then. Your productivity and your number of hours, days, what do they call it? They are not the same, right? Remember, I'm saying percentage of their availability. I did not use duration per time. I use percentage per time. Hassan, right? I use percentage per time, and that's why I said, okay, 2 persons will be 100%. That's 50-50%. If you're doing duration, you can use 9.5. But you're not even there. You don't even use duration. You use numbers. You're not assigning duration, because your duration, original duration, let's go back there so that when I'm talking, you see what I'm saying. So I want to change this back. Okay. So here, it's either you have 100 or you have 1. Okay. It's either you have 100 or you have 1. 1 is after I've gone back to this place to change it. So I have here 100, right? Okay, because I have it in percentage. Now I go back to user preferences here, and I change this to this. Okay. Now, your original duration. My activities, oh, these activities don't have duration. Is where? Okay, so my original duration, you see my original duration, right? And that is it. So here I said it's 100 bags we need. Here, my concrete meter, I said we need 2. I need 2. So either you use numbers or you use percentage. And if you're using percentage, 100% is 1 person. But if you're using numbers here, you just say 2. 2 times 80 is what? 160 hours. So this is where the hours comes in. So you don't speak hours here. It's different from calendar. I hope I'm clear. Yeah, it's quite 100% different from calendar. So that calendar doesn't apply here at all. We're talking about number of persons that are going to, maybe you have 100 square meter wall to lay, right? 100 square meter building wall to lay, and for your 100 square meter, how many blocks are we using? Per square meter is 10, so you have 1,000 blocks. So how many masons can lay that for a day? Let's say each person is laying 100 blocks per day, right? Max, and they will lay, and we need the 1,000 square meters done that day. So they're doing the 1,000, sorry, the 100 square meters, which is 1,000 blocks. We're doing it that day. So it's very simple. You're using 10 masons. So you come here and just put 10, right? Just have 10 here. Finish. That's it. That's what you do. Okay? So, but you must come to user preferences to change it, to change this to show units in duration. So I said this one is 200%. This one is less than 100. Okay. So Hassan, I hope you're clear. Okay. Thanks for following. At least your questions helps me to know that people are following, since I can't hear you guys. All right. I think that's done. Do we have anything left? So we've done the analysis. So let's check your budgeted labor units. Your budgeted labor units. Budgeted labor units. So we call it spread. We call it spread, your spread. That's what we use for our percentage complete to measure progress. Is that spread we use to measure progress? So how do I get that? I either go to by resource assignments. So first, there are columns you need to put here to even see, because I'm not seeing what I need to see displayed. Well, let me see if my units are even there at all. Let me see if my budgeted units are there at all. So I go back to my activities. So let me use this side. So here, click on view. On your show on top, click on activity usage spreadsheet. Activity usage spreadsheet. Click on it. Good. So you're seeing your, so these are your units, your budgeted labor units. So usually what I do is to change this to, I change this to cumulative. I like using my cumulative budgeted labor units. cumulative budgeted. So I don't use this. That's okay. So here, these are your units. So what it means is, 250 numbers per day. This total is 250, is 180, is 70 numbers, and what have you. So this is what you take to. So if I come to this place also, I can insert this budgeted labor units. I can insert a column. You have column under units too. Under your units, you also have cumulative budgeted labor units. So you have your budgeted labor units. Budgeted labor units. So you can't have cumulative there because they have WBS. The cumulatives are shown on each WBS. Okay? The cumulatives are shown on each WBS. So here you have it. This is your overall. Your overall project unit is this. And these are the cumulatives that are shown for each of the WBSs. They are shown here. So if I want to do my S curve, I think that's for, this is just for you to view. But what do we use this for? We use this for our X curve. So if I want to draw an S curve, what do? I just do Control A, Control C. That means I just copy all of this and go and drop it on Excel. So what you're seeing here is just, so I drop it here. Good. So I've dropped this in, and it's showing from when the project started to when it ended. So my schedule, my PC schedule, the project started when? December 15th. Okay, so that's correct. So all these other ones are noise. I don't need them. I don't need all this to this place. I just delete it. So that's why I said, as a planner, a QS, of course, we know quantity surveyors. So you need to at least know a little bit of Excel. So I've done this. I just want to pull them off. So I take out, because you can't put in formulas when you have alphabets there in Excel. So you can't have alphabets and formulas together. So you need to remove all your H. Okay? Find and replace. Find and replace. Replace H. Find put H. You're replacing with, you find H, you replace what? Replace all. Excel has completed this search and has made this okay. And you replace it with nothing, because you don't want anything there, right? And replacing, find. I'm not making an error. If I find H, I don't replace with anything. Okay, replace all. Okay, it has even gone. It's gone. So Yeah. So you see, we've taken out all the alphabet. So now we can go. I'll do all the cleanup. And what I need is just the overall. And that's what I'm taking. So all these other ones, they are noise. I don't need them. So this is what we call data cleanup for data analytics. When you're doing your data analytics, this is your data cleanup. Because you can copy, maybe you're using your Power BI for that. Take this information, take it to Power BI, import it in there, and you do data cleanup first before you can start extrapolating your data. Okay, so here, so you can call this. So I'm just doing a simple. This what I'm doing here is not part of the class. So Excel is not part of my job. So I'm just trying to show you a little bit of end to end so that okay. So here you can call these dates, just your normal histogram. This is your cumulative data, cumulative labor units. So you want to see your cumulative plan percent complete. Plan percent complete. Cumulative actual percent complete. The next is daily planned percent complete. Daily planned percent complete. And the other is what? Daily actual percent complete. Okay, so this is it. And you now use your formula. So what are you bringing out? So here is your, so I'm saying I want to bring out my percentage plan. So I just say this is equal to this over this. Yeah? Let's just say okay. And I change it to percentage because I want it to be in percentage with 2 decimal places. I just drag this down. You see, so this is your plan. So each time you're saying, today our plan is 5%. Today is day 26. We are supposed to be at 82%. This is where you get it from. Yeah, this is real data that doesn't lie. So, but it is garbage in equal to garbage out. So it's when you've done this, you can draw your curve or your histogram, your S curve, and all of that. This is where that comes from. But where you have your Primavera analytics, you just go to Primavera analytics and get it. You don't need to come to Excel anymore. But for now, this is what we do, and you just go to your insert column. Yeah, you want to use your 2D histogram. So you change to whatever data you want. You can, sorry, let's say change chart side. I can say, okay, we should change it to lines. Change to lines. Okay. So this is your famous S code. Okay. I hope it's clear. Sorry. You see, some students they are tired. Really. So any question with what I've done? Any question with understanding your data, your budgeted labor units, understand your budgeted labor units, your resource allocation, your resource analysis. That is what it looks like. So please go home, get your software if you've not gotten it, and practice. Please go home, get your software and practice. Okay, so I think, let me see if there's anything we can take with the remaining time that we have. So I've done resource assignments. So that's done. So tomorrow we'll take course loading, and so I've done a little bit of monitoring and control, a little. That S4 I did was a little, but I'll just show us baseline, how we baseline, and you start progressing data. So I'll show us course loading, baseline, and a printing. Okay, course loading, baseline, statusing, and printing. That is, so tomorrow we'll call it a wrap. We'll call it a wrap tomorrow. So I don't know if we have questions. I think we can draw the curtain here. So, but questions.
Please ask your questions now that she has our time and she's not charging us. Next time, it's premium, we're paying in dollars.
I tell you.
Ask your questions now, because I mean, I've been jotting down all these new words when we started getting into this really complicated aspect. So when I go to work on Monday, my office people should be ready to be hearing basketballs. I don't even see, I'm not on your level, as in I'm a project management student. I be Primavera student, and my level and yours are not the same anymore. Speak to me in scheduling, as in I'll just be dropping terminologies. I'm like, please, I even go to my boss and say, sir, please, you need to increase my salary.
You should just find a problem and use this to solve that problem. They will they'll make you the lead. I tell you, I sacked one of my bosses when I was in Lagos.
Oh wow, please tell us about it. How did that happen?
So, and funny enough, he's a white man. So what happened, I was working as a cost estimator then. So, but because of the knowledge, and then I was like just 3 years in my work life then. That was in 2010. So later I was promoted to become a PMO lead. So PMO lead, I manage engineers. We have a lot of road projects that were outside Lagos, some in Benin, Edo State, Abuja, Ondo. So usually I go there maybe once in a week. I go to pre-qualify contractors, award some of those projects to subcontractors and all of that. But I have a COO that I report to. The company is a one-man business. I report to a COO who is a white guy. Now, the problem, the normal African problem is that the owner of the company, our GMD, was not releasing funds to these projects. So they will pay him mobilization. He will go and use it to buy one house in Italy and London, and the projects will be suffering. So what he does is get us contractors with deep pockets and let them spend their money. So when they spend their money, we value, and once we get paid, then we'll not pay them. So they spend any money, they'll call me, Sarah, we want to fence. So each time I give them, and then I was even very tiny. So every advice I give to them, they go by it. And the company started really reviving before I left them. I finally left them. So that is it. It gives you so much, your knowledge gives you so much strength.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's the thing about organizations these days. Like, you have to show them the value that you can bring. It's not just you passing the interview and then just doing your regular 9-to-5 work. They will not appreciate you, because to them, you are being paid for that. So do something extraordinary. Sure. Do something extraordinary to announce yourself and show them that, look, I am more than what you think you're paying me for. Show them that you're the value. Thank you very much. Yes, Sarah, you already know that I'm a huge fan and I'm always going to be blowing your trumpet everywhere. You have been doing an amazing work. We cannot thank you enough. I always say this, and I truly mean this from the heart. We really appreciate you, and we cannot wait to conclude this session with you tomorrow and go and brag and write on our brag sheets that we too, we have gone through training and it's time for practice. But yes, thank you once again, and we hope to see you tomorrow for the concluding part of the Primavera. To our participants, you have been amazing. All 82 of you that made it to the end. Thank you very much for participating. We're doing this for all of us here, including you. And without you, there will be no us here to put this out there. So thank you once again. Have a good night's rest, and we will see you not bright and early, but same time tomorrow in the morning. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night's rest.
Thank you,
Bye.
colleagues.